All right, we have Mariusz. Hello, Mariusz.
Long time no see.
Glad you could join us.
Yeah, I'm glad too. So, yeah, I'm so happy to see you guys. I mean, this is such a surprise, spontaneous effort, and and it is so satisfying. So,
and we would be super grateful if you want to join. If anyone who is listening to us want to join with a camera, please raise your hand up using the feature, and we can add you as a video participant. There you go. We have people showing up. That's great.
wonderful. Good to see you guys. Good morning.
Good evening.
Oh, sorry. So that is how we usually think of our everybody on the whole planet goes around with our own schedule. No, it does not happen like that. So,
all right.
Thank you for joining us from all parts of the world. Oh, yes, wonderful. So today we have a good hello, welcome. Let's start with this way. So it is not California centric. I usually think California centric. So yeah.
All right, I think we're ready to go. If anyone else want to join with video, just raise your hand. Otherwise, Mariusz, let's keep it.
Yes, so thank you very much for joining us. That is our fifth video webinar, and we emphasize the need for social connection, but physical distancing. So we think that social distancing is a misnomer. We need to do physical distancing and social connection and social integration. And particularly today is going to be important because we will be talking about interpersonal relationships and interpersonal communication. And that is really a huge thing. And we'll be talking about empathy and how to effectively communicate with others. And it is also a special day because today also is the anniversary of the uprising in Warsaw Ghetto, and that brings, and in many parts of the world, there are celebrations related to, usually video celebrations related to the Holocaust, and that is such a juxtaposition that we are talking about empathy and connectedness, and then we also know that so many people celebrate one of the most tragic events in the human history. So we as humans are capable of wonderful expressions of love, but also we are capable of doing atrocities. And there's this Native American saying that in each of us lives there are two wolves, a white good wolf and the gray one, like who has really bad hair and bad breath, the mean one. So and the gray one, and so the question is which one, and they are always fighting, right? And the question is which one is going to win, the gray stinking one or the white beautiful one, good one? And the answer is this one is going to win which one you feed, right? So we will be winning. We are going to feed this white wolf in us, right? The compassionate kind, protecting, and understanding too. So, yes. So this workshop today, and of course, we if you go to our website, which I created, which is our Beat the Odds website. I'm going to send you in comments the link to that website. In chat, you are going to receive it in chat. So actually, we want to send it to all panelists and attendees. So under this website, you will have information about the background, whose work we are basing it on, but today we want to particularly thank Carl Simonton, who introduced me, and most of this project, today's work is on what he developed for cancer patients for support and communication. And you see, the last exercise that we will do is going to be about support and communication, but we will do it in a way that really tells us each of us play both roles as a support person, particularly during this COVID epidemic, and also being supported, right? So we will be doing an exercise on both sides. So Carl Simonton was one of my mentors, and also Maxi Mosby, who developed the cognitive behavioral part for this workshop. And today we'll particularly celebrate my mentor, Dr. David Burns, whose work was who is really the first one who apply effectively cognitive behavioral therapy to relationships. And you could show the cover of the book, AJ. So this is the book from which some of the exercises will take today, and we hope to come back to these exercises next week, because the issues of communication when we are going through the quarantine are quite important, and we got a lot of questions about relationships and how to live together during those difficult times. So today we will do just a few exercises from that book, and next week we hope to do more of these exercises. So and if you go to our website, we will have the links to these things too in our website, and I will be working on this website over the next week. I just created that page last week, and I hope to develop it better over the next week. So yes.
I think it's also going to be important to mention about the Facebook group, because we're posting all of the materials there, and it's working out well thanks to Ola. Thank you, Ola, for helping managing. Like, you're doing the great work with the Facebook community, and I know that not everybody loves Facebook, but it's worked out well for us to keep in touch and keep people up to date and answer the questions. So if you can say a couple of words.
Yes. So if you could put the link to all panelists and participants to the Facebook group. The reason that we have the Facebook group, and then also the link is on the website that I sent you. There is a link to this group too, an invitation to that group. The group, that is the simplest way that we could connect with people, because we are not techies except for AJ, Dr. Youngchik, sorry. We are all, not very techy, and we want to be very efficient, and this group turned out to be the easiest way to do it. And Alexandra is the moderator of that group. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And we want to really make sure that everything works over there. And so we will be. You have possibility of posing questions, answering the questions that Alexandra is posing, and so engage and invite others, because we want to create a community over there. We have over 300 participants so far in that group, and the group is growing, and we want to grow it to a really nice community that's going to work for all of us effectively. All right.
It's 350 right now.
Pardon?
It's
350,
350, yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, so without further ado, let me go to this this presentation. So you see, families and loved ones and friends are very used to really getting together in a time of crisis, right? And we just pull our forces together, we spring to action, drop everything else, and what? And do what needs to be done. And it grades really perfectly well if we are doing it for a short run. You know, we want crises. Usually crises are short-lived. But here we have this pandemic that turned out into really chronic crisis, right? We thought, oh, the quarantine is going to last a week, 2 weeks. But no, the lockdown is lasting and so on. And we know that they actually did, it works, right? We didn't have in most places such a big spike like we had in New York and or in Italy or in Spain, because these lockdowns started to work. But the flattening the curve causes that it's going to last longer. So we want that, because if the spike causes that we overwhelm the resources. And those of you who listen to us in Hawaii, we know that, for example, in Hawaii, on a big island, they have only 350. I don't know, which is just the big island or Hawaii. 350 respirators. So if the peak goes above that, then they people needing respirators may overwhelms healthcare system. So yes, this lockdown is necessary for us to be safe. But also, this lockdown causes us that we don't have space for ourselves. We don't have time to take a break from others, or that we don't have the hugs and other ways of nurturing, or our relations are limited because we are not going out. We are not having the camaraderie. I'm lucky because I need to go to the hospital, so I have camaraderie in the hospital with a few staff that I'm getting close to, but that is not just the people that I live with. So that is the reason that the first step that in such a crisis, Carl Simonton used to emphasize that you need to look at your own needs, because your needs are not going to be fulfilled. So list all the needs that you usually are able to fulfill, and your needs that you used to do, and then make a conscious effort of putting which needs I still want to satisfy. Like need for solitude, right? You may need that time for yourself, just to read the book or listen to your music or do something else, and that's something that you may decide to continue. But you know that other things you won't be able to continue. But this process needs to be conscious. Then it is going to be effective. But you see, as I said at the very beginning, for most people, these issues are just happening, and we simply drop all fulfilling our needs, and we go into action, into addressing the crisis. And what happens is, because the crisis is prolonged, we get burned out, we get frustrated, our patience wears thin, and then conflicts are ready to happen. And so Michael had a nice example, and we want to feed back to our previous sessions, and where we were explaining the ABCD of emotions, and where we were explaining the rational self-analysis, how to convert the unhealthy beliefs that drive our emotions into healthy beliefs. So, and at this moment, I wanted to thank my co-panelists, which is Alexandra, who joined us from the UK. Thank you very much. And an expert in post-traumatic stress disorder and helping people who were trafficked and in modern slavery. Michael DeBernardi has very similar experiences, but from New Mexico. Oh, thank you. And Dr. Jończyk, who is a physician from Poland, from Prosoma, that helped me, that saved my webinars because I was unable to host more than 100 people, and we had people were crashing our ability to manage everything. And so, and Prosoma is a Polish startup that does wonderful things and does an app for how to survive COVID. So thank you very much. This is this is who we work with. And so, Michael, can you tell us about the situation that you were dealing with?
Sure. Hey, everyone. Good afternoon. It's afternoon here in New Mexico. Wanted to thank everybody for joining us today. We have a good number of people, and it looked like they're from all over the place. So we're really excited to continue doing this. You know, I consider this something that is helping me get through this situation, is to be able to focus on some work, being able to focus on the things that are meaningful to me and I think can be helpful to other people. So by way of review, I'm going to talk about kind of a situation I've been dealing with here at home. I know that there's some folks who haven't joined us before, so I think it'll be important to go through our basic ABCD model. I know Mariusz talked about today and the meaning of it. I would also like to wish you all happy Bicycle Day. And I'm not going to go into what that is. It's not what you expected, so look it up if you want to go down a rabbit hole for a little while. So anyway, ABCD model. So here I am at home. Now I am, I don't know, unfortunate enough to be in my day job considered essential personnel. So I'm still going into the office every day. So for me, in a lot of ways, life hasn't changed. And honestly, I feel kind of like I'm missing out a little bit on a international shared experience that I'm not really getting to be a part of. But I know a lot of other people are, pretty much everyone else is, and they're struggling with it. So an example I have is that I've got a 17-year-old daughter and my wife staying home during the day. My wife's working from home. My daughter is going to school from home. But this has been about a month now for us here. They are driving one another up the walls. I'm hearing from both of them all day long about the conflicts they're having. I come home, walking into it, and end up getting pulled into these things myself. So the big issue right now, I have a 17-year-old daughter. She is very social. She is the most social person in my family and wants to be out with her friends. She's in high school. She wants to be out enjoying herself. So this is an ongoing battle that we are having at this house because we're not under, here in New Mexico, we're not under any legal authority to have to stay at home. They're simply strongly recommending it. So, you know, I don't at least have the law behind me to say why you need to stay home. But I've got my other arguments and I find myself getting stirred up about this pretty much every night. So if you want to put that slide on, the ABCD slide. Okay, maybe I can get
Yeah,
there.
just doing it.
You want me to just share it on my screen?
No, just give me a second.
Okay, so for those of you who haven't been here or do a quick review, let me talk about our model. Our basic model, the cognitive behavioral model, specifically the rational behavior therapy model of Dr. Maltzby, says that experiences occur in an ABCD fashion. So A is the activating event. It's what happened. And it can be anything from a small event to a large event, but something happens in our environment to us. And often when we talk about something happened to us, we right away go to how we felt about that and what we did in that situation. So those are the C and D. So, you know, I was in a traffic jam, not often these days. I was very frustrated. I was late for work. I was angry. I was giving people rude signals. That's how we talk about things. But the B in the model is about our beliefs, our thoughts. And in this model, it's really the beliefs that create the emotions and create the behaviors. So it's not so much that a traffic jam caused me to be angry or caused me to be rude to someone else. It's my beliefs about that situation. So I want to give an example here, and I don't know if you have that, or I can just share my screen here with it.
I have it.
Okay, thank you. Of the situation I'm facing with my daughter. So I just kind of quickly put this together to help me process it, because even though I've done this for many years now, it often helps me to write things out so that I can figure out what's going on. So my example, my aim, my activating event, my daughter isn't taking this health crisis seriously. She complains about being bored from the time she gets up every morning until the time she goes to bed. And she wears us down with her constant whining to go see her best friend. She says we are overreacting and that all they do is ride around together and that her friend is in quarantine the rest of the time. We finally end up giving in and letting her go for a drive. So that's pretty much a typical evening in my house around here under COVID. So let's jump down real quick to the C and D before we get into the B. So usually I end up here feeling angry. I end up feeling frustrated. I'm annoyed with her. It's like, can't we just have one night where we stay home and do something together? But no, she needs to be going out. And so what ends up happening? Well, I'm raising my voice. I tell her she can't go out. I'm grilling her. Where are you going? Where has she been? Who's been in your friend's house? And before she goes, when she returns, I get on this situation. I am the parent. You should do what I say. I'm in charge here. You should be more grateful. We could have it much worse. And it's just a constant power struggle. So in looking at that, I have to take a look at, okay, if I'm feeling angry and annoyed, and if I'm doing these kind of behaviors, then what are the beliefs that are going on inside of me that's leading to this? So back up to the B there, things like I am her father and she needs to do what I say. Who knows who this friend has been hanging out with and whether she has the virus or not. My daughter should quit complaining and just enjoy being isolated with her parents, like most teenagers would not be. So as you see, it's the ABCD. It's the flow from how the situation is filtered through my own beliefs about it and the emotions and the behaviors that come out of that. So this is what we're talking about here, is a relationship conflict. Of course, I can fix my side of the conflict by taking a look at my belief system and my thoughts about it, but my daughter needs to do that as well. She doesn't need to. In my opinion, she needs to, but of course, it's always her choice whether she does that or not. So what we want to talk about today is realizing that I can't control a 17-year-old. I can't control what's going on in her head. We need to teach about some skills that are going to enable us to have better relationship, better communication around the house. So going beyond the ABCD model, though we'll probably refer to it over the course of the rest of the webinar today, we wanted to add another set of skills on for how to communicate more effectively within a relationship. So thanks for listening to all that. Keep that example in mind as we move into the next part of what we're going to do. So Mariusz.
So, I really like what you present, because you see, we are teaching how to communicate. We are teaching harmonious relationships, but we suck at it, right? so it's very important that we need to accept that relationships with others, particularly those who are closest to us, are the hardest thing in life. There's no harder thing to do in your life. This is the most difficult thing, and that is the reason that a lot of people give up on the relationship, because it's too hard, right? But at the same time, the relationships help us to really have wonderful experiences, and so this is this balance that they may be the source of greatest pain, and at the same time the source of greatest joy. So yes. And that is the reason I like to preface everything that we do with this statement from George Bernard Shaw, who said, "The greatest misconception about interpersonal communication is that it has ever happened." So let me repeat it. The greatest misconception about human communication is that it has ever happened. We don't communicate. We miscommunicate all the time. We mess up. We mess up in our communications, and then we create, and then we try, the next communication, we try to fix the previous mess that we did, but we create new messes, and then you go, oh, I'm sorry guys, I need to switch my headphones because they say that I have no battery. I don't know if it's me, my cyborg is dying down or not. So anyway, the bottom line is that we don't communicate, we miscommunicate, and the how to fix it. So we will be talking about first we need to, it is go to accept that we create messes, and we will show you how to try to fix it. But you see, Albert Ellis already noticed that we claim that we cannot change ourselves, but at the same time insist on changing others. That is the paradox. No, the only person who can change is ourselves. So so what we can do actually is we will be looking at how I can more efficiently, however imperfectly, communicate with others. That is going to create least pain. And the only thing that I can do is, the only thing I can actually do is to control what I do, how I feel. Because as Michael said, we create our feelings with our thoughts and beliefs and attitudes. But most often when we have conflict, we start with blaming other person. And as long as we are in the blame process, we are not solving any problems, right? So, Ken, Ola, Alexandra, if you and Michael could show us how this may play out between you and Michael, this example. So you will be Annika, Michael's daughter. So yeah, you're a few years older, maybe 22, but she's 17. But I think that you can still feel 22, 17. So.
Okay, so let's do a little role play here of what a typical evening is when I get home at night, with Alexandra playing my daughter Annika. So Annika, how was your day today?
Dad, I just want to tell you I'm going out.
Again, come on. We had a deal. You've gone out like
No, I'm going out. I'm just sick and tired of being at home all day. I'm sorry, I can't cope, and I just need to go out.
Come
I need
on.
to see my friends.
No.
You can't tell me what to do. I'm 17.
I can't tell you what you can do.
No, you can't.
Well, I own that car that you want to take out tonight.
Well, I don't have to take your card. I'm going out.
How many times have we gone through this? This is serious. This is
well,
not
you never listen to me. You only want to be listened to, and you don't care what I think. And you only care about yourself, your rules. Is your house, is you all the time. You are the worst father ever.
Exactly. It is my house, and therefore I'm in charge, and therefore you need to.
I can move out. I'm moving out.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Who's going to pay for that car?
You? I'm still your daughter. You still got the responsibility over me.
Okay. Well, we'll see about that. So, who are you going out with tonight?
With Hannah.
Okay, Hannah. So, are you sure? How do we know Hannah doesn't have this virus? How do you know she's not sick?
Well, she's got no temperature and she's got no symptoms. None of my friends is poorly, None of them have it. Why you don't let me go?
Because this is a serious situation. You know what? I'm sick of it. I'm arguing with people all day at work. Whatever. Do what you want to do.
I'm going out. Bye. Thank you. I'm taking your car. Bye.
I should have taken an improv class somewhere.
That was good.
Alexandra. Oh, diminution in Polish for Alexandra is Ola. So even though she's UK, she's Polish. So she has Polish-British accent, and I have Polish-American accent. So.
She did an excellent job of channeling my daughter, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. It's because one of my daughters is 16 and the other one is 21, and I'm just got this type of conversation every single day. So.
Okay. Oh, I'm so blessed with my kids. They listen to me 100%.
Yes.
All right.
Well,
So, so what we would like you to do, maybe for next week we will prepare it better that you could work in dyads. So so what I will do, just what I will ask you to do. All right, let me do this way. Okay, I need to back up a little bit and think through this. So here we are. So just imagine that I'm accusing you right now that the same thing that we did before. Wait, where is it? My goodness. All right. So, and if you could write down your response, and you will rate yourself on that response. So if you could show the slide that what I'm accusing you of, and if you have someone with you, you do it in your pair, right? So I am telling, if you are by yourself, I am accusing you. You never listen to me. You only want to be listened to. You don't care what I think. You only care about yourself. All right? So if you could tell your partner exactly that, and then have them respond to it. Or if you don't have a partner, you write down your response.
And remember, this is an exercise. We're not trying to increase stress in your household right now.
All right. And I will ask you that you are going to rate yourself about your response on the scale from, like the grading in school. Everybody got grades in school. I don't know how they grade in the UK or in Poland.
A, B, C, D, F.
So yes, A, B, C, D, F. So A is the fantastic, and F is fail, right? Not passing grade. Okay. And if you did it in the dyad as the other, in the couple, in the pair, as the other person who was accusing you, how your response worked for them, did it increase conflict, or they felt like, oh wow, yeah, you understand what I'm saying, you are actually listening to me?
I think it could be a good idea for people to share their responses via chat.
Okay.
So we can hear what how people did responded to your accusation.
Lisa put a good response in there. What do you mean? You never listen to me. That's very
good one. Yeah. Okay, the chat disappeared for me. Okay, wonderful. All right.
So maybe Ola and I could kind of grade ourselves on that and see how that went.
So you grade yourself first.
It was an F. I gave myself an F.
Well, for me, it was A.
No, you did. No. Excuse me, Alexandra. Just you are. So Michael rates himself, and you rate him.
No, I rate myself because I left the house and it was on mine, you know.
No.
I got what I wanted.
You never listen. I asked you to rate Mike, and what did you do? You are rating yourself. We know that you love yourself. So please, so can you rate Michael how he did? He gave himself an F. Do you think that he decreased conflict or increased conflict with his statements?
I think that he kind of like backed off he couldn't respond to my stubbornness.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see that he was very, I would say, helpless, and I really didn't care what he was saying to me, and I just wanted to go. And even his idea with not giving me the cards or cars or whatever, it didn't work. And I think it was F. Well, I'll give him an E as an encouragement.
Good. Thank you very much. So we started with this as also demonstration how lousy we are if we don't have good instructions, and so we will actually put a structure on communication today that will hopefully help you go through that, right? Someone says, "Oh, thank goodness I live alone."
I do listen. What do you mean? I don't know how you can say that.
Yeah. That is a good way of listening, right? What do you mean? All right. So if without training, we really don't do a good job at responding to accusation, right? And very often remember we always think we are right in our own eyes, right? So we never. So this I'm using this as a driving example. We use driving example a lot because we do a lot of driving, particularly in LA, because that is a car city. And so driving is a good example. And then we always drive what we think is the right speed and the right way at the given moment, right? So whoever is driving slower is an idiot, and whoever is driving faster is a maniac. But this idiot and this maniac, of course in quotes, they think they are doing the right thing, right? They have their reason to do it, right? So we all do the right thing in our own eyes. And actually, that is even in the Proverbs written, that every way of the man and woman seems right in his or her eyes, right? So everywhere. So we always think that what we are doing is right. Of course, afterwards we can blame ourselves and we can feel guilty, but you see, and that is where the blame is coming in. That we blame the other person because we don't see that they also see themselves as right. And so we will get to that point in a few moments. But I wanted to share with you.
Can I jump in real quick on that?
Yes.
That so years ago, Mariusz and I and a couple other folks had the opportunity to study with Marsha Linehan, who developed dialectical behavior therapy. And one of Linehan's statements that she provided was that everyone is doing the best they can at every moment. So even if that person is driving you crazy or bothering you or annoying you, they're really doing the best they can given their lifetime of experiences, their own belief systems. They're doing the best they can do in that moment. Doesn't mean there's not room for improvement, but that's where they are. So if we even keeping that in mind as I'm arguing with my 17-year-old daughter, yes, she's frustrated, yes, she's an extrovert, yes, this is hard for her, she's doing the best she can right now, it helps take away some of the frustration for me.
Thank you very much. This is a very good point. Yes. So, and Marsha Linehan always emphasized that we approach other people in a non-judgmental way. Of course. And she also emphasized that it's practically impossible because the habit of judgment is so deeply ingrained in all of us that she also encouraged us not to be judgmental about being judgmental. so we really. And that brings us to the subject of non-attachment to the outcome. And we were talking about it in our first two classes about non-attachment, because it is particularly class number 1. You see, attachment is when we have a clear idea how things should be. And then when things are not exactly that way, we are getting stressed out. And so the example is like, the situation that we are in today, that Michael, that he gave this example, Michael was attached to the idea that everybody stays home And that is the only way to make them safe. So he was attached to that idea. Why Alexandra, who played Annika, had this idea, she was attached to the very different outcome. That was that she can go out every evening with her, just one friend, who also is quarantined for the rest, from others, just with her family. So that this is, that was very, and they are using protective gear, mask and everything, and they go out and they don't sit in a restaurant, and they go to the drive-through. No, it's not enough, huh?
No protective gear. I brought masks home for them and they refused to wear them.
Oh, sorry. Oh, that ruins my theory. So the point here that I want to make is that this attachment that we have is creating the need for control, is really creating a lot of stress and judgment. So non-attachment that we is that realization that we have influence but no control over anything. Sometimes our influence is very minimal, and yes, and we don't control outcomes. We may do our best to get to the outcomes that we want, but we don't control them. And unfortunately, with this COVID-19, we don't control all the outcomes. My wife and I, we go to the hospitals. I actually have some patients on the COVID unit, and I have to really put all the gear, double gloves and all that stuff. And then particularly getting it off is very sequential. And even though I'm a doctor, so I know, but I get an instruction. So when I'm in between the doors, which is, there's pumping air, so they give me instructions how to take the things off, but there's no 100% guarantee that I will never catch it, right? So, but we make sure we use the best science possible to make sure that I don't get it out of that unit and bring it home. So I wear always the same clothes. I wear always the same scrubs that I put in the washing machine right after the moment I come home, and the outside clothes I leave in the car, so I don't bring the outside clothes in. So I'm trying to influence the outcome, but I know that I don't control it. And here in the relationships, we are very attached to certain outcomes, that the person is going to see the world from our point of view, where in fact they can only see. We can only see that through our own eyes. And because of the attachment, look what happens. When we see that the loved one, like the daughter, is not behaving the way we want, what's happened? Like why Alexandra said to Michael as a daughter, where's that ever, right? What that statement had, what was the purpose of that statement? What did she express? What emotion did she express in it? There's a lot of expression of anger, right? Both from Michael and from her. And her expression, where's that ever, is really geared towards harming him, hurting him, right? Because that is when we are experiencing anger, that is what anger motivates us, to harm and destroy. It is the fight impulse. Fear is withdrawal. Fear is, like Michael was expressing, the fear and concern of his daughter not going out because he's afraid of her going out, right?
Mariusz,
yes, go ahead.
I think that's a really important point to make here, because when we looked at the RSA that I provided, the emotions I talked about were anger, frustration, but not fear. And underneath it all is really fear. And for a lot of people, that's a hard thing to talk about. I know, at least in American culture, men don't admit that they're afraid. It's easier to be angry than afraid. So that's part of really taking a look at what's going on with you right now. Yes, I am afraid of something happening to my daughter. I'm afraid of her bringing something home, all of those things. So that's work I have to do. And if I can start to look at my reactions through that belief system, that really I'm afraid versus I'm angry, that will change the way that I interact with my daughter.
Mhm. So look at this. But Michael, let me ask you, are you afraid or angry at all other daughters in Santa Fe that leave their homes and go out with their friends?
Interestingly, I am. When I do stop in a grocery store and I see people without masks or whatever, I find myself judging them immediately for it. So yes, I am frustrated and angry that people aren't doing the things they need to do. But again, I'm also scared of that. Not as much so as with my own daughter, though, of course. That's much closer to home.
Exactly. But you know, I think that you're aware that there are a lot of other people that you don't see. And the level of your anger and fear about them is as high as with your daughter?
No.
Exactly. So why your daughter? Why you're angry or afraid? Why you are getting angry at your daughter or becoming afraid of what's going to happen to her particularly? Why? Why her?
Because I love my daughter.
Exactly. And look what happens. We love the people that we live with, but we end up expressing anger. Or if we have a little bit more insight, fear, right? But we are not expressing love. So here I want to because what is love, right? And there's a lot of things, ugly, nasty things done because of, in the name of love, right? And yes, and we know there is actually this pandemic and the lockdown increased domestic violence, particularly against women, and that is really painful situation. We will not talk about it specifically during the program today, but we will. But we will talk about some of the things that may also help in those difficult situations, because ultimately, like Michael said, that that other people bother us, other people make us angry. No, we make ourselves angry. We make ourselves bothered. We make ourselves upset. We make ourselves frightened. We may make ourselves angry with our own thoughts about what the other person is doing or saying, right? And the same thing was with Alexandra, when she played the daughter, right? So it was that she was afraid, she was attached to going out with her friend because she has much more energy and social connection need than the rest of the family. And and so, you know, that she may feel misunderstood or not really heard. And then she's frustrated and getting angry at her dad, but she loves her dad too, right? And he's the best dad ever for her, actually, right? For my kids, I am, but also I suck at it. So don't give up hope. We are going to give you some instructions. So look, so the reason that it is the attachment to the outcome, we have a certain outcome in our mind, and we are very attached. It has to be this way. It should be this way. It must be this way. And whatever threatens this outcome, like my daughter has to be safe, right? Whatever threatens this outcome, I'm getting angry at it because it scares me, right? And so those of you who remember Pulp Fiction, they know what the Samuel L. Jackson character used to say. What the gangsters, when they scared, what they do, right? They get angry, and when they get angry, they kill people, right? And they harm. So that is very important. So here we want to show you 5 secrets of effective communication. And so we will focus on so we will be we are going to really integrating the Simonton approach with the approach that David Burns developed. But before we will go into 5 secrets of effective communication, I wanted to make some comments. You see, in families, how many of you have ever helped anyone in your life? How does it feel, helping others? Good, yeah, it feels good. Can you unmute everyone for a moment? I like to hear how they, Andrew?
Feels good.
Feels good. Yes. Who also thinks it feels good?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. It feels good. Yeah, we like helping others, right? All right. And now I'm asking.
But is it truly altruism? Is it true altruism?
I didn't
Or
quite
is that
catch.
just another subject? Is it altruism, or is that just another subject altogether that we can
Oh, altruism. I think that we are wired to be able to help. Actually, that our societies wouldn't be able to function with our altruistic. Actually, there is pretty good research showing that we are altruistic by nature. And but of course, there are also proponents of social Darwinism. But no, it doesn't compute. So, so we like to help, but if we are in the situation that we have some difficulty, how are we with asking for help? Who is really easy? It is, if you need help, you ask for help easily.
No.
Oh, Alexandra asked for help. Good, but we are usually.
It's only because I learned how to ask for help. Because I've never actually asked for help until someone said to me, if you don't ask for help, you won't get it. So then I was like, yay.
Yeah, so you see, thank you, Michael, for bringing up Marsha Linehan, because she was emphasizing that we all need help. And it is important that we provide each other help, and it is part of our nature, and it feels good for people to provide help. And one thing that she emphasized that like in DSM-5, at that time it was DSM-4, it was that we trained with her. She would say that yes, in DSM-4 we have dependent personality disorder, but she thought that much more prevalent it was independent personality disorder. That means that we all want to be independent. I wanted to be on my own, self-sufficient, and that is the really particularly American trait. Oh, I need to do it on my own. You know, so we are not asking for help, right? And so we really encourage you to ask for help when you need to, and even when you don't need to. So, and asking for help is crucial. And in general, asking the other person without attachment to the outcome. And asking for help, and let me give you an example, an extreme example. This was, we call it Anita. This is her real name. This was, she was diagnosed with cancer while she was a sole proprietor of a business that provided livelihood for her and 2 employees, but at the same time she was taking care of her husband, who was quadriplegic. And I'm using this example with permission from her. So she was the sole support system for him and sole provider for him and the breadwinner. And here she is diagnosed with advanced cancer, and so she says, I cannot do it on my own. So, and you see, when people heard it, and most likely when they hear, oh, is there anything that you need? Let me know. And most people will say, oh yeah, I will, you know, but they don't ask at that moment. Anita had a list of things that she needed help with. right? And she would pull out that list and she says, what do you want to help me with? Groceries? You want to stay with my husband at home, or cook me a meal, or cook a meal for him, or you want to do some accounting for my business? So it's because I simply cannot do it on my own, right? So, and I encourage you that you always have a list of things that you could have help with. That, yeah, your to-do list. And if someone says, hey, can I help you? Just jump in and say yes. What do you pick? And you know what? People love it. Because of what? Let's not leave it at the generalities, but be very specific. What I need to help with. So it is good to ask people, what do you need help with? And then, oh, I'm so busy, you know, if you could take my burden off me, you know, and this stress of this COVID and this coronavirus, you know, it would be really great if you could take that stress away. And you can say, I don't know how to do it, but if you have some specific things that I can do for you, then I could do it. You know what? I ran out of or some face mask or whatever, you know, what you can do. So how big when you are offering help, the person doesn't tell you specific things, you ask for specific things, all right? But the same thing when you're asking for, we had examples in our classes of people saying, oh, but if he truly loved me, I wouldn't have to tell him what I really need, right? He would know for certain what I need, right? If I have to explain him, that really it's not really the same.
Well, I feel jealous now that some of the wives, they've got husbands who are the mind readers, because with me, I just have to be very specific what I want every single time. So give me the number of that person.
Very good, Alexandra. Yeah, you see, my wife, Alexandra, too, knows that I'm really very lousy at mind reading. So now in the lockdown, like Thai food. so honey, what do you want to eat tonight? And it's, oh, some Thai. And I know that I need to ask, what do you want to order, right? Because if she wants pad Thai, then I will order from this particular restaurant that I know that has best pad. We have like 50 Thai restaurants around us, right? So yeah, Long Beach is a very diverse community, and it has most Thai community, highest Thai number people outside of Asia. So we have a lot of Thai restaurants. So I know if she wants pad Thai, I need to order it from there. If she wants tom kha, the soup, I need to order from there. And so depending on what she wants, I need to order from where. And then I need to ask, okay, how spicy you want it on a scale from 1 to 10? Because they know us, all those restaurants, not all of them, but we have like 5 favorite ones. They know us, so the Alexander, well, I have a taste for really mild, so let's do like 2. And when she wants a more kick, she will say 4. She never goes above 5, right? So, and then, so I know then and then I need to ask, okay, white rice or brown rice, right? So we need to be very specific. I screwed up so many times that I know the questions now. so yeah, so I'm asking for clear directions, and then I can deliver. And now tell me, is this food going to taste better or worse when I know specifically what she wants, and how likely it is that she's going to get what she actually wants if we are precise. Yeah. So does it make me love her less? No, I can only love her the way I love her, and the people who love us, they do their best like Marshall Linehan was saying, we all do our best. So we are loved. Other people love us the best they can. It may not meet our love. And the same thing, we are doing our best with our love, which is, again, so as I said before, there's a lot of misconception about love. So we, with Carl Simonton, we used to use the Buddhist definition of love. What is love? It is a combination of caring, compassion, and kindness. Right? Caring, compassion, and kindness. And that is great. And there is no, in definition, there is no perfect guessing what the other person knows. No, it's not part of the definition. Right? So, so that is, and now when we talk about at the very beginning that you do a list of things that you need, that you really fulfill your needs, you put some of those needs on hold because you cannot fulfill them all, and then you take those needs that you still want to fulfill. Then you ask, okay, so then you want to have a specific answers for it. So, because, but, so, for example, I want some private time because I need to prepare this webinar. And I ask, hey guys, when are you going out for a walk? Oh, we'll go later on after Alexandra came from the hospital. She had to do some dictations. So yeah, and I was on the phone with Michael because in the meantime I asked him, hey, can you call me so we can prepare for this webinar? And so he calls me, but then we are in the middle of the conversation, and Alexandra says, now I can go for a walk. And I know that if I don't seize that moment, it may not happen. So I asked Michael, hey, can we stop and resume later? And you know, we went for a walk. And he says, because he knows how important it is for relationships to spend some time together, right? So in Long Beach, we are still allowed to go on a walk in your neighborhood. You cannot go further out, but we have nice neighborhoods. So now that is very important that we ask for specific things. But also if Michael said, no, I cannot do it. So when you ask for something, be prepared to hear no. So that means that to ask without attachment. So when you put a request, be prepared to hear no as an answer. That is very important, because how many of you ask when you are afraid that you might hear no as an answer? We usually don't ask then, right? So it is important that we ask even when we think that we will hear no. So, because that is true request. Now, if I ask, assuming that the other person is going to say yes, is it a true request? It's not a true request. It is a demand. So now I'm asking you to make requests, even when you are quite certain that you will hear no as an answer, just to practice asking without attachment. And you will see that many times that you were absolutely convinced that you will hear no, you will hear yes. So actually you are going to hear many more yeses than you would otherwise do. So ask for what you want and be prepared to hear no. So of course I'm happy when I heard Michael to say yes when I invited him for webinars. I was really happy to hear Dr. Janczyk, AJ, to say yes and agree to help me with those webinars, because I was not able to do all that, to conduct the webinar and flip the slides and all that stuff. That was too much for me, and fielded questions. And then it was a delight to hear Alexandra to say yes to join us for the webinars. And she's going to do the same webinar tomorrow with me in Polish. So yeah. So thank you very much. So yeah, but I didn't know that they are going to say yes, but I tried. Right? And actually, I didn't know AJ before we met here. So thank you.
But I wanted to say, Mariusz, that you've taught people about this concept for so long. Do you have a way of asking a question in which someone doesn't think they have a choice to say no to it?
Can I just say something? I remember when I was asking Mariusz about something, and I was asking the question in Polish, and he answered to me absolutely, which in Polish absolutely means absolutely no. But for British people, absolutely means yes, of course. So I asked him, absolutely yes or absolutely no. Without this question, I would have not known what's the outcome of this whole conversation. So please do ask the questions.
A very good point. Yeah, I remember that. And I was thinking, absolutely, as a yes.
Yes.
As like jumping, absolutely, yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
No doubt, right?
So knowing him that he's in United States for 30 years and I'm in the UK for 15 years, I was thinking about, all right, so the absolutely in our language, the language that we use at the moment means yes, but for the Polish people, which we still are, means absolutely no. So you can see this kind of like you said, miscommunication. So it's very, very important to actually clear the air and ask the right question.
Yeah, and so I will also encourage you to go back, and maybe we may also, I will put them on the website, the healthy semantic words, and not to use unhealthy semantics like you have to, should, must, and so on. The issue, because none of us like to hear, oh, you have to do this. No, so we really need to learn how to talk to each other, and we are fine tuning, and then so that is, and again, so coming back to the ABCDs of emotions. Nobody upsets us, nobody makes us angry, nobody annoys us, nobody bothers us. We all do those things to ourselves with our beliefs, attitudes, and thoughts about what this other person did or said. So coming back to this, so here we are at this perfect time to teach you, or for you to learn, or for us to do an exercise. If you have a pair, you can do it in pairs. If you don't have a pair, we will do it through the chat. I will do the same. So we will first learn the 5 secrets of effective communication. And today we are going to practice the first secret, which is disarming. AJ, could you put up the slide, please? So yeah, go ahead. All right. So the 5 secrets of effective communication is taken from the book that we showed at the very beginning, and from his training, Dr. David Burns. You also have the link to his podcast. Podcast 13 and 14 are the best because they are talking about these 5 secrets of effective communication, and the link is going to be in your chat. So the listening skills is this disarming technique. Actually, it is, as we mentioned, that everybody does the best they can already, right? So we always do what we think is right. So we are all right in our own eyes. So when we hear someone even accusing us of something, it is important that we try to see what is right in what they say. Okay, and what is finding truth in what they say. So that is a disarming technique. And then there is empathy. Well, can you go back? Yeah, empathy, second secret. So as you can see, those secrets are not really secret, but we simply are not. These would be absolutely fantastic if kids would be taught that in kindergarten and then repeat it through the whole education system. Our lives would be much easier if we were teaching people effective communication. So the second part is empathy, expressing so not now the disarming is to try to see what is right, but the empathy is really trying to understand the other person, how they feel emotionally, and there's feeling empathy, which is how you feel, how you think the person feels, but also how you understand they feel. So paraphrasing, really, and that leads to inquiry, because we want to understand the person well. So we may even use what they said in and rephrase it and say, "Am I getting you right?" And then the fourth secret is I feel statements, which is when you accuse me of not listening, and then here say I feel ashamed, for example, or I feel so really say I'm really helpless, and I'm ashamed that I'm teaching people how to listen, and I actually am not listening, and I'm just talking to you and want to be listened to. But I also feel afraid that if I listen to you, accuse me of things, right? So by us not listening is really trying to avoid hearing something that we don't want to hear, and we will be practicing next week. And then stroking is important things is to express what we love about the other person, and so in a respectful way, something that we can generally say that is positive, and that is very important that we do it in a genuine way, that we are very honest and not giving platitudes. And some therapists may do that. If the patient accuses the therapist for not listening, sometimes the patient may say, you are you never listen. I would try to explain it to you, but you clearly even don't know my situation. You don't even know how many children I have. You never listen. And then the therapist may say, you must have had a lot of courage. I admire your courage that you say this to me. That is a platitude. That is dismissive. It is not really genuine. But if I respond, you know what? You're right. And it makes me sad that it happened this way. So really, that's really being genuine. And really, if you could go back to the next slide. And we will practice the disarming technique, which is finding some truth in what other person is saying, even if it feels unreasonable or unfair, right? So in the example that we had, you never listen. So when Michael is asking his daughter that she stays home, and she accuses him of never listening, that he only wants to be listened to, and he wants this. So now he has an opportunity to really apply this disarming technique, and which is, remember, both sides are right in their own minds. So the fact that you are saying that, you are right, is actually neurophysiologically true. It is a neurophysiological fact that we always think we are right. But really, the effort here is to really try to see how right they are. So I will ask you to briefly play out that exercise, and then we will put another layer on this exercise from Marshall Rosenberg. So can you do this disarming technique in that example that you just had before, Alexandra and Michael? I can hear you guys.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Hi, Dad. I'm going out tonight.
Haven't we talked about that?
Well, yeah.
So now let's play. Who is disarming whom? So, Michael, you will be disarming Alexandra.
I'll
Of
disarm
course,
Alexandra.
because
Okay.
I
Yeah.
was the one that
Yeah.
didn't give him any opportunity to actually say anything as a father, because I was very angry, and
Okay, so-
I kind of feel like I'm less angry at the moment, so we can have the discussion.
But the thing is, I want you to be as angry, but I wanted him to disarm you when you are angry. That you
Okay.
accuse him of not listening, and so all the accusations that you have against him, that he never listens, that he doesn't, that he only listens to himself, and he wants to be, that his rules want to be followed, and that he is that worst dad ever.
Okay.
Okay, let's start fresh then.
All right.
Hi,
Hi, Dad. I'm going out. Before you say anything, I know that what you're gonna say, because you never listen to me. You only want to be listened. You don't care what I think. You only care about yourself. And I'm going out. So end of the discussion.
Well, listen, sweetheart, before you go, let's talk about this for a moment. I do listen to you, and I've heard, and I know that you're a very
No, you
responsible
don't.
kid. You have been forever. Since you were a
Thank
little
you.
girl, you were responsible. And I know that, yes, your friend Hannah, her mom is very strict about her contact with people. I know that you guys are just kind of hanging out in the car together. No other people
Yeah,
are
I miss
there.
her. Yeah.
And you're going to the drive-through instead of trying to go into places. I get all that. And that really shows that you have some responsibility. My concern about it is just, I don't want anything bad to happen to you. I care about you very much. Don't want you to get hurt. Don't want you to get sick. Don't want you to get anybody else here sick. And so, I would just like it if we could maybe talk about different ways to approach your need to go out every single night.
Well, so do you have any other ideas? How can I spend this time with Hannah, Dad?
Well, first of all, you guys are on FaceTime all day long with each other. So
But I want to see her in person.
You do see her on FaceTime, but I understand it's not as good as being there with her in person. So I think maybe trying to do a little more of that. And you know what? I'm okay with you guys going out. Maybe not every single night, but if we could maybe find some compromise of 2 or 3 nights a week. And just personally, from my and your mom's perspective, I might like to tie that to the kitchen getting cleaned once in a while. So
Don't go that far, Dad. Don't go that far.
Okay, can I stop you guys? So, Michael, how would you rate yourself on the scale from the school grade scale right now?
That's probably a B that time.
Mhm,
Room for improvement.
And Alexandra, how would you grade him?
I actually would say A as a child. Yeah.
Okay, so and I think that Michael is very honest with the B. He got a solid B. And why didn't he get an A? So accuse me. I'm your dad now. So I think I want to leave home again.
Dad, I'm going out. And before you say anything, just to let you know that you never listen to me. So don't start, because it's all about you. You never listen. You don't care what I say. You don't care what I think. You only care about you and about the fact that you say no to anything what I say. So stop it. I'm going out. Bye.
You know what, Annika? You're right.
Am I?
Actually, yes, you are.
Oh.
And really, I'm ashamed of us going into power struggles all the time and us getting angry at each other. But you're right. I don't listen. I want you. The fact is that I'm afraid that something bad is going to happen to you and that you could bring this virus home. And yes, I didn't listen. I wanted you to follow my rules. And I didn't. I mean, yeah, you're right. So
And I'm staying home because I want you to feel good.
no, I don't. I'm not saying that you have to stay home. I'm not attached to the outcome. I want you to stay home, but for most of all, our relationship is most important, right? And yes. So how do you feel now? How would you rate this conversation now?
A as well, because actually my tone of voice was very angry, and you disarmed me with your tone of voice, with your calmfulness as well, and the fact that you actually didn't attack me back. And So I didn't have any capacity to actually express my anger again. And you said, yes, you're right. So you gave me the credit that I'm in the control of the whole situation as well. And I felt like I really want to stay at home with you, because I don't want you to be hurt or to worry about me, because you were honest, and I do appreciate the honesty.
So thank you very much, Alexandra. So what happened with your motivation to continue to attack me after I said, yes, you're right?
Just dropped. There were
Yeah.
no further motivation, because you actually acknowledge my emotions. When I say you never listen, you admit that.
Mhm.
Because in my opinion, you never listen. I mean, well, I could find a situation when you do listen, but that wasn't the point. But you actually admit that. So I didn't have any further power to discuss it or to argue with you, or you just knock me down, Dad.
So that is a very important thing, that even if we are just playing it out, if you really engage in just doing a role play, it disarms you literally. Yeah. So and remember, so that is the reason that the one thing that we want to remember when someone accuses you of anything, first to say, yes, you're right. You still don't know how right they are, but start with, yes, you're right, because they are right in their brain, right? They're wired that way. But you still don't know how. So this is important that you, after you admit it, then you really put all your intellect on your emotions in there, and you can say, hey, I mean, and you can say how you feel. I'm really perplexed right now, but I know that you're right. And yes, giving yourself some time afterwards is also okay, because it shows that you are not a formulaic. You just oh yes, I hear you. No, that doesn't work for the other person, right? It may work for you, but don't use platitudes, just go, because we talk about increasing intimacy, increasing connection with the human being, right? Not dismissing it. And the only way to increase intimacy is by showing how vulnerable you are. And that is what we hate doing. We want to appear strong. We don't need any help. I can handle it myself. No, we need to show our vulnerability. So, and that is the only thing to connect. So we will, and now we will take it to the next level. And you are the first group that you are doing it in this way. And I'm really happy that we, I'm so appreciative of everyone who's connecting with us now. That is absolutely great joy, because right now we are going to combine the wisdom of Carl Simon and Maxim Osby, David Burns, Marshall Rosenberg, Marsha Linehan, and some other wonderful people, Peter Ferner, whatever. Yeah, we are combining it now. So remember that whenever someone accuses you of something, you automatically go into defensive. But first, start with you're right, and then really genuinely engage all your powers of your intellect and your emotion into to understanding how they are. And we will be practicing next week further. But now I want to emphasize that when we have the greatest need to communicate, it is reversely proportional to the quality of the communication. So the greater the motivation to communicate, the quality for this communication is going to be worse. So, and when we are absolutely in the need of communicating is when we are angry. so that is when we are very clear. Remember, with anger, we have no doubts. We have a lot of energy, a lot of clarity, who done it and how they are going to pay for it, right? And particularly when we see a loved one doing something that we think is harmful, because it scares us, but we don't express fear, And why it scares us? Because we care about this person. Why do we care about this person? We love them. But what we end up expressing anger. So whenever you feel angry at the other person, so if someone is accusing you of something, start with, yes, you're right. But if you feel angry with someone, don't say anything. You ask, honey, when is a good time to talk? And the honey may say, oh, I can talk now. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. but I cannot talk right now. So and give yourself at least 24 hours, really. If it is a repetitive behavior and if it is behavior that you really feel strongly about. So jumping into this and then really expressing this. And then you have 24 hours, because timing in effective communication, it's not just the words that we are using. It's not just the emotion and genuine emotion to increase intimacy. But also what is important, it is that the timing is perfectly important, right? Timing is important. And so, and with everyone, guys don't like long conversations, and they may be going to fear mode for those 24 hours or more. If you tell them, oh, I want to talk to you. Oh my goodness. So tell them 15 minutes. Or, if you are not used to do it, 7 minutes. Really, you can cover most of the things, particularly if you follow our framework, in those 7 or 15 minutes, no problem, right? So, and here, so now when you got angry with your loved one, you say, hey, when can we talk? I can talk now. Okay, but how about tomorrow? Because I really cannot do it now. We'll do it tomorrow. And before now and tomorrow, you focus. Why did you get upset? You got upset because you
upset
got
me.
scared. No, you don't upset me. I upset myself. So you can put all the beliefs on the piece of paper that you have about what happened. And there may be a lot of shoulds and stuff like that. So yeah. But at the same time, focus, even without doing the belief work. Just focus, okay, I got angry because I got scared. Why did I get scared? Because I care. Why do I care about this person? Because I love her. So let me focus on expressing love, which is caring, compassion, and kindness. All right? So in those 24 hours or more, when I'm preparing myself to communicate, first I'm thinking, expressing love. And how do I express love? All right, in the time of pandemic. Sometimes you may not be able to hug the person. Sometimes we are on Zoom or Skype or on the phone or FaceTime, whatever. So then we need to express this and connect with the other person, and then make sure that they know that you love them. And it is okay for that to ask them, how do you grade me? If you think that you did a good job or not good job. So AJ, for the next class, we will send everyone to my Feeling Good Now link. So we will ask people to fill it out before the class and after the workshop. So that is what people who come to my office, how they grade me if I'm a decent therapist. So yeah, I want them to, so it is good. We want to have a feedback. So you start expressing love and you say, hey, do you think that I told you how much I love you enough, or express this love now on the scale from A to F or whatever scale is common in your country? And then they also go, yeah or no, so if they give you, if only passing grade is an A, if they say B, so what else is there that I need to know? Okay, they say, oh yeah. And then you have this statement from Marshall Rosenberg, the person who developed so-called nonviolent communication. Marshall Rosenberg. So whenever you're concerned, you wait 24 hours or more, and then you plan to express love, then you connect with this person, you express love, you check with that person how well you express love, and you keep expressing love as long as you get an A, right? Because you know that you are not communicating or miscommunicating. And then say, and you know what, I wanted to talk to you because when you do, and hear you, or say, when you say, your worst dad ever, right? I feel devastated, right? So you do the I feel statements too. I feel it because, you know, I'm really trying my best, and I know that I am not ideal, but I want you to grow up for a strong, intelligent woman, independent and healthy, and if I am messing up, therefore I ask you that if you could be more specific in how I can do it better, to be the best father that I want for you. So help me with this. So Ola, how would you feel if I started like that with you?
Yeah, I would feel great.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And
Right.
I would probably give you a million ideas how you can improve being a great dad as a teenager.
Uh-huh.
But I think it's very important as well to actually mention the level of the conversation when you have the conversation with your partner and when you've got the conversation with your child. So it's a bit, I see a lot of differences as well. The way I speak to my children using all the I statements and how do I communicate with my husband is completely different, because like for my children, I feel like they are in the very vulnerable position. So I try to encourage them to be themselves, to use the I statement, to be specific. So I'll teach them how to communicate effectively with my husband. We both teach each other. So it's completely different level of the communication as well.
So
And
could you use this Marshall Rosenberg statement towards your husband?
So I could use it, for example, if I was the father of this daughter, then I can just like present it. So
but no, use it how you use it with your husband.
yeah, so when you actually say that it's all my fault, I feel like I'm disappointing you in certain level, because it means that I'm not a good wife. Therefore, I ask you to be more specific about things that I can improve, and I could be the person that you want me to be. So I ask him about the ideas, about the feedback, about the very, very specific things that he wants me to be improved in our communication, in our life as well. And I think that your example with the restaurant and the order, so this is what we learned, that if we are not specific, then that means that we don't communicate effectively. And how can I be disappointed with my husband if I didn't ask him about things in a specific way? So what we've learned is that actually that we have to be very specific what we really want, because this gives us I would say a power to communicate better in the future, rather than putting all the like labels and emotions in it. Because if I want to go mad, then I can go mad, but what's the point? So I think we're doing very well.
Okay.
It's a lot of years of practicing as a family. So
I keep screwing up, but I'm work in progress. So
yeah, I didn't say that we are perfect. I said that every time when we collapse, we've got the tools and the resources to actually go up and go further. So yeah, like you said, we all suck.
we all suck in that bits, yeah.
Yeah.
So Mariusz, if I could jump in on this point, this is a very powerful statement. This is maybe one of the most powerful techniques for communicating in a relationship. And the reason for that is this is consistent with the model that we've been teaching you. So usually or frequently when we have an issue with someone, right away it is into, you really pissed me off last night, or I can't believe, how badly you treated me. It's confrontational. It's ascribing that they made you feel a certain way. This statement takes that out of the mix. This is you taking responsibility for your own feelings. So it's not saying when you did this, you made me feel. No, it said when you did this, I felt because I believed. And so you can tie it right into your beliefs. And the reason I felt that way is because I believed that you were trying to put me down, or you were not respecting what I was trying to do. So when we frame things this way, it number one, decreases the person's defensiveness, because you're not right away saying you did this to me. So that lowers that, making it easier to communicate. But it also empowers you to recognize, you know what? I'm responsible for how I'm feeling. Regardless of what you did, I'm responsible for how I'm feeling because of these thoughts and things that I told myself.
And I actually think that you can't challenge someone else's feelings. You can't challenge someone else's emotions, because it's all about me. How can you say, if I said I do feel, how can you say you do not feel? How do you know how do I feel? So having this type of conversation with yourself is actually a good practice thing as well.
So thank you very much, guys. That is so wonderful. And it is so fantastic that independently, because I don't think that I really worked with Michael in the framework of Marshall Rosenberg, and definitely didn't do that with Alexandra. But we all know his work, and it fused our work so profoundly. So yes, so that is very, very wonderful thing that happened. So now I would like you to if Annika, Michael's daughter, would like to come to him about going out, she would engage him with this Marshall Rosenberg statement. Or if Michael would like to engage her, because she's going to ask him again tonight, right? so maybe it would be good to take a time to just start with this without being accused, right? Start with, okay, without accusing other person. You live every night, you take my car, it's stuff, So you could use the Marshall Rosenberg statement. So that is what we recommend. So to wrap up, remember, these are really difficult things, and we are not used to it. And if we don't practice, we will not be effective at it. So first important thing, start practicing, and we will do practice right now. So I'm telling you, or if you have a partner with you, tell them. So again, I'm accusing you, so you don't have time to say anything. We are not doing the nice Marshall Rosenberg, but someone is coming at you, and you want to disarm them, saying what is right in what they say. So you hear, I'm telling you, you never listen to me. You only want to be listened to. You don't care about what I think. You only care about yourself. And write down your answer. You can put it in the chat. What is the first thing that you say when someone is accusing you of something? You don't even know what, but start always.
Yes, you're right.
Yes, you're right. Exactly, Elsa.
Mm-hmm.
And then I bet in all of us at times didn't listen. At times we were speaking over other people because we wanted our point to get across our point. So it applies to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
It is generic enough to apply it to all of us, all right?
I can feel right. Listen. Mm-hmm.
All right. So someone's at the door ring. But so Thank you very much. Yes, you're right. And then, oh, thank you very much. Sweet. Oh, Amina is on all here. Amina, just yesterday we were together in the hospital, and she is on one of the pictures that I posted on Facebook. Thank you, Amina, for being such a great sport. And great. I really appreciate all the people that I work with. And they can complain that sometimes I'm talking over. So if they tell me that I don't listen, yes, sometimes I just give orders and I write them in the chart. So, and yes, as being a doctor, you have much more of a habit of giving out orders, right? So if I don't listen to what the staff is telling me, those orders may be carried out in the way that I don't want them to be carried. So.
And yes, you're right.
Thank you very much, Elsa. All right. So, so now I would like to wrap it up with the last exercise. And the last exercise, I don't know, Andrew, if you have the slide for the last exercise. But I can share the screen if you. So the last exercise. Pardon?
You can share the screen.
All right. So the last exercise is from our workbook from Beat the Odds program. So those of you who participate in the Beat the Odds, you know this. So and you see during COVID, we all are in the in support position. So we need support. So don't act out your independent personality, but really understand that we are all interdependent. And through this, because this independence also robs us from intimacy, because we are not showing our vulnerability. We always want to show the world how independent we are, how strong we are, you know? So we are really not connecting with people, right? And here I wanted to say that you see, people usually celebrate when they succeed in something, but I'm asking you to really celebrate when you mess something up, because it is very easy to love yourself when you are succeeding, and you something, you show the world how good you are at something, but it is important to celebrate yourself and love yourself when you fail. Now think of what you have as feelings to your child or some other person who made a mistake and ended up, and they feel very badly about themselves, they are self-criticizing. What do you feel towards these people? You feel compassion, right? Are you kind to these people? Yes, you are kind. Are you trying to be gentle with them? Yes, you want to be gentle with them. But really, so I want you to exactly feel the same feelings towards yourself when you mess things up, right? Because of what? We are human beings, and to err is human, right? To correct oneself for the future is divine. So we are work in progress. So wanting to progress is important. So now I'm going to, so remember, here we are going to talk about ourselves in this exercise. But if you have someone working with you, like Sue and Joe, you can do it together, and you did this exercise before, so you know the exercise. So first, remember to express love. That is the bottom line. And then I'm going to share with you the screen. All right. And so this is the homework for patients and support people, but here we are not just a patient, we are all both support person and a supported person. So first, so whenever you think of someone who you live with, and you see them behaving in an unhealthy way, for example, not respecting the physical distancing, during this COVID pandemic, and or behave in the ways that may be detrimental to them and to the whole family, like we had an example of Michael's daughter. So list of those things and write them down on a piece of paper or put them in the chat. That would be great. But it is mostly for you. So you have a piece of paper. Yeah, AJ, we need to announce every time that people need to come with a piece of paper and something to write with.
Got it.
As you see, we are not perfect at doing those webinars. It was very spontaneous. So forgive us for messing up. And now list your own behaviors that may be interfering with protecting everyone from coronavirus. And now, list the problems that you have communicating your concerns to the other people about their not following always the rules of coronavirus protection. The problems you have communicating. Oh, you know what? I can make it bigger. Oh. And this is not the person that you are supporting, but the person who's living with you. And then from your perspective, how, if someone else in your household had concerns about you, about your own behaviors, how would you like these concerns to be expressed and communicated to you? Like, do you want to be told by your daughter that you're a worse dad? Start with that. I don't know any dads that would like to hear that. And I don't know any moms that would like to hear that they're worst moms. And our kids know it, and they know perfectly well what hurts us. When they are angry with us, they are going to say everything that's going to cause most of hurt and pain, because of what anger motivates us to harm and destroy.
Kids are horrible.
The saying goes in Poland, the first half of your
Speak
life
for
is
yourself, Michael.
Kids are wonderful. Just second to mine. But there is saying in Poland that the first half of your life is ruined by your parents, the second by your children. So, of course, this is not true. I mean, yeah. And then the third part is live any difficulties of being in this situation. That you think, because all of us think that, oh yes, my approach to COVID is the best in this planet, right? I'm on the right person to know how to deal with this coronavirus, right? But actually we are not. I think the experts like Dr. Anthony Fauci may be close to doing everything, but they're also humans, so they will mess up. But I would follow his advice. And also this is very specific to your household situation. Our household is very different because two of us are really the greatest risk to bring bugs home. So it is my wife and I, right? Because we are going to the hospital. So we are, and everybody else is actually doing much better than we do, right? So we need to make sure that we mess up. And sometimes we forget, so I remember, so I mess up. I messed up because someone came to fix the garage door and they simply on the other side of the house that I haven't been for a long time. I said, "Oh, great to see you. I'm so happy," because our garage door was not working for 6 months. I couldn't get anyone because it's a commercial door in the residential area. And I extended my arm to shake his. I said, "Oh shit! No!" But my first impulse was, because it was an old situation that triggered my habitual reaction. We know that from the front of the house, everything is sprayed, and we have all the sanitizing things over there, but not on the back side of the house. So that was funny. So anyway, so we mess up all the time. So your difficulties in giving support and trying to protect others, but also your difficulties in receiving that help. So because we all are interconnected, right? We don't ask for help. Other people want to help us. We say, "No, I don't need your help," and then the conflict begins. No, when someone offers you help, have clear idea how they can help you, right? And now the most important part. What do you appreciate with the people around you? Whether you're by yourself or with people who are living with you, what do you actually appreciate about them? So how you appreciate the help that you are getting, or not help, or the connection, or whether it is, if you live by yourself, you have a phone call, you have connection with anybody, and you can use us as an element of connection too. So yes, I know that some people are actually looking forward to our webinars. Can you imagine that? So thank you, Alexandra, Michael, and AJ for making it happen. And if we didn't have any audience, it wouldn't have happened at all. So all right. So let me end the share. So I would appreciate if you could put your question and answers in the chat if you have any questions or comments about what we have covered so far. And yes, this is good. It is recorded, and the website I sent you initially has all the recordings from previous sessions. Here I'm sending it out again.
Can I speak?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm loving lockdown. I live on my own, have done for a long time. Got a grown-up daughter, married with a 2-year-old. I'm not a loner. I love living. I love solitude. I'm also quite sociable when I want to be. I'm in charge of that.
Very good.
So I had a meltdown the first 2 weeks of lockdown. I woke every morning with an utter feeling of dread as if someone had died. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of you will have read the book, and or seen the series of The Handmaid's Tale. Margaret Atwood. I had that feeling. I felt I was in a. Any of you know the book?
I don't know the book.
No. Okay. I'm not going to go into it. Anyways, it would take too long. Just awful feeling of dread, and then I started to wake up feeling joyful, and I feel so free. I've lost all my work. Don't have much money, but I've got enough to get by. I live in a beautiful village right on the edge of gorgeous countryside. So I don't really have anyone to argue with. Sorry, what was the question?
Okay. I asked for comments, so this is a nice comment. So yeah, that is great.
I've got cats, as you saw, I think last week or the week before. I also have I have my 2-year-old granddaughter. I'm desperate to get hold of her, but she lives in London, so I can't. But of course we have FaceTime, and two next door but one to me there was a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old little girl, and about mid-morning I hear outside my front door behind the gate at a distance, Deb, come out, we want to talk to you. They love me, they want to live with me, they've told their parents they're moving in with me, and they make my day. And then if I don't want to speak to, because you know they'll be there all day if I let them, I have to say now Sarah and Amber, I need to just make a phone call, so I'm going to shut the door and stay outside there if you want, but I'll be back in a bit. And yeah, I'm coping it, but I don't want it to end. I mean, I do, obviously, I do for the sake of other people. But for myself, I don't feel. I'm swimming, and I swim outside in rivers all year long. I'm swimming. I'm spending time in nature. I've got all these jobs to do, but it doesn't matter if I don't do them, because I can do them tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow. And I don't know. It's I feel free, which is a paradox. How can you feel free when you're imprisoned?
Yeah, because the freedom is the state of your mind, not the fact that we are all in the lockdown. So I think appreciating more things, people started appreciating more things at the moment, because it feels like the time slowed down as well. So we can actually have a lot of reflection. We can focus of the things that we never had a time, or we thought that we don't have a time. And from my perspective and from the people around me, I actually see that people started accepting the fact and being more joyful, grateful for very, very small things that they haven't thought about them before. So and for me, being introverted, I would say maybe ambiverted, because I'm both. I love it, because I can find that. So I fully sympathize with you, and I understand you. Is that the London in the UK? Or...
Yes, London, UK. Yeah.
So Bradford says hi. Where's Yorkshire?
Well, I'm just outside Cambridge, but my daughter's in London.
Oh, that's fine.
All right. Thank you very much. So so that is, as we, on one of our previous webinars, we mentioned a psychiatrist, a Jewish psychiatrist who went through concentration camps and survived Holocaust. He said that not the strongest, not the smartest people who survived Holocaust, but those who realized what is the last of human freedoms, that nobody can take you away from you, even when you are so little freedom as in a concentration camp. He said, it is our freedom to change our attitude about anything.
But how do we do that?
Exactly, that is the whole process, that is the whole program. So go back to our workshops and come back to our workshops and our webinars, because we teach that. So please check out our earlier workshops, because we talked about it a little bit, about the process. So thank you very much, Deb. And I when you were describing those kids, and it is, I think everybody could hear joy in your voice of those two kids calling your name, and you see, it may not be joy for us, but sharing joy is the bottom. It touches us on a very deep level and connects us on a very deep level. So joy is a vital activity. So engaging in those joyful activities as much as we can with the limitations that we have. And so
there are people in my village that I don't like, with politically poles
anyway, just
however, I like them now, and I stop on the street corner, like several meters away, and I say, "How's the so-and-so going?" What I would like is, I'd like a big bear hug from someone.
Oh yeah.
B, the person I dislike the most, who have completely opposite political views to me, even he would do.
So now let me tell you. So that is really wonderful what you just said. And we will have one webinar on the really how to relate with people who have absolutely egregious points of view, right? From our perspective, at least.
From our perspective, yeah.
From our perspective. So, so that is wonderful what you said, because you say even the hug from that person would do.
Yeah.
And that shows that on a deep level, we are all the same.
Yeah.
There is more things that we have in common that we have that are different. Michael, you want to say something?
No, I didn't.
No? Oh, you never listen. All right. So, so
You're right.
thank you very much, everyone. That is wonderful that we were able to do this workshop with you. We will come back next week. We'll continue with our exercises, and actually we'll do a special meditation. So practicing all the relationship skills, because what is your most important relationship with whom? With yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And the better you can create healthier relationship with yourself, more compassion, understanding, forgiveness, celebrating your mistakes, and not pumping up your ego too much when you succeed. That is cheering yourself up when you make mistakes and when you're human, and actually celebrating your vulnerability. So thank you very much, everyone, and I really feel very close with you, right? Much
and
more
keep that
closer.
humor going.
Thank you very much.
Going.
Thank you.
I'd like to share some joy.
Yes.
My first grandchild, my grandson Gideon, was born on Friday. On Friday night. Thank you.
Nice.
Something good. We won't be able to see him for a while because he lives in San Francisco. We're in Long Beach, so.
Oh, but we just saw him, all of us.
Yeah, but that's right. And we FaceTime like 2 a.m. Saturday morning. So.
Yeah, and you can still be a support to is it your daughter or your son?
It's my son, yeah.
Yeah, you can still be a support to him.
Yeah.
Thank God for social media. I never thought I'd say that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, everyone. So we will hang around for 10 more minutes. So if anybody has questions, feel free. But I don't want you to feel obligated to hang out with us right now. But so this is the conclusion of our webinar. And thank you all. And we are here still open for questions and sharing. Oh yeah, we have people from Warsaw.
Oh, that's
too.
great.
So wonderful. Thank you very much. And anybody from Lithuania, because we invited some people from Lithuania, and I think that is as far as we can. And actually, when we start, we start when it is midnight midnight in India, and we had someone who wanted to dial in it, but it may be really late for them because it's Monday for them. Now it's 2:30 over there a.m. All right. So, any questions, comments, ideas?
Thank you for the webinar. It's great. I really enjoy it. Look forward to it. Thank you so much to all of you.
Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, AJ, can you unmute everyone so they can?
Everyone is unmuted.
Perfect.
No, I think. Y'all have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
There we go.
There was a question in Q&A asking if it is okay to include "I'm sorry" statements.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, that is a very good thing to start with. Yeah.
I think Michael, he answered that question and he said yes, definitely, but only if you are sincerely sorry and your apology is not along with the lines of "I'm sorry if you got upset when I said it." So it has to be very sincere and.
So that is really no. So we can spend. So AJ, if you could remind me about apologies, because most people, it's a fantastic subject. So those who are still hanging behind, they will have a leg up on other participants. Now, why do we apologize very often? Because we want the difficult feelings to go away. I apologize. So what do you want from me? So, I'm sorry. I said I'm sorry. So how long are you going to be bringing this up, right? So we think like this I'm sorry is going to, so really we are very often using I'm sorry as a weapon and distancing ourselves from the other person, not increasing intimacy. so that is, so I'm sorry, and particularly the politicians are fantastic on these fake sorries. You know, oh, I am really sorry to everyone who felt offended by what I said or what I did. Push, am I sorry? Genuinely sorry, but it is such a
it is very powerful weapon. Can I, when you said about, when you mentioned earlier about the victims of domestic abuse, which I actually work with, and I work with the perpetrators and with the alleged perpetrators as well. So when I actually speak to the victims, they say, when I ask them, why didn't you leave him? So they say, because he was keep saying sorry. And I knew that he felt this way, that he was sorry. He was keep saying, I do apologize, I didn't mean it. And actually, the way that they were manipulated encouraged them to stay in the relationship until they understood the whole process of not very honest sorry, and the way that they actually go through their different stages and through their honeymoon, and then finally they realize that this sorry means nothing. So
but I think that some perpetrators will say how helpless they are in their cycle of perpetrating the violence too. So that it is important that we have a compassion to both sides, and because we can only understand the other person with compassion. And actually Michael and I, we worked with a lot of perpetrators of atrocious things, and Michael has more experience with it. But if you don't see the humanness of the other side, you will never going to be able to connect with that person. And if you don't connect, you cannot help, right? So, and it is very hard. It is very easy for us to see solutions to other people's problems. Like, oh, why did she ask for help sooner, right? She's in an abusive relationship. It is so obvious. It is obvious for the person outside.
For us,
but not when you're on the inside of the problem.
And especially if you grow up in an environment like, for example, because I work with the Polish people when the culture was very different and the abuse was part of our culture. So actually the women don't see themselves as victims, and because this is the norm for them, this is the environment which is very, very normal, and it's very difficult for me because I can see the symptoms, I can name them and state, and I can see the cycle, but for them it's like, what you saying? He keeps bringing me these things, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, all right then. And actually saying about the perpetrators, I was running a group of 12 men who were the perpetrators, which means that they were convicted and sent to the program by the court. So 12 of them, 12 out of 10 were the victims of the domestic abuse as a children. So I don't work with the perpetrator, but I work with the victim. Because being the perpetrator and behaving in a certain way is the outcome, what happened. So we're trying to touch the basics, and it work in many ways, but it's quite difficult because we still got the language barrier of the Polish men in the UK.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
sorry, it's my name's Hannah. Sorry, I don't have my video on. You can't see who I am. But I just wanted to ask a question actually about boundaries, because I think it's always right to show compassion, but how do you, I don't know if you've talked about this already, but how do you manage when the times that you've tried to show compassion and tried to deal with something that is really important to you and the other person doesn't correspond you in that emotion, and they don't open themselves up to working on something? Where's the limit?
So sometimes putting really very clear boundaries is the most compassionate thing to do. For a woman who is in an abusive relationship, it may be leaving this environment with the kids, maybe the most compassionate thing that she can do to herself, the kids, and the perpetrator. Calling the police may be the most compassionate thing to do. So we will talk more about anger in one of the upcoming webinars, because anger and forgiveness and all that stuff is very convoluted thing. And forgiveness, for example, doesn't mean that we condone the thing, that the person doesn't pay restitution, that the person doesn't is not taking also legal responsibility for their actions. But at the same time, so that is a very important part, and giving that person a space to really, for those who want, giving a space and tools to improve themselves. It is also part of compassion, right? So that we refer these perpetrators for proper treatments, like with Alexandra, so that they have an avenue of improving themselves, because they are, as Alexandra said, that many of them, they were raised in the environment. They don't know any other models, right? They see that all family conflicts have always been resolved that way. Now, actually, I need to express that, fortunately, it is not like all Polish families are like that, right? So
I would say all my Polish families that I work with.
Yeah, because that is what you do. Yeah,
Yes.
So like, all Americans that I know have cancer, right, or loved one with cancer, because that is all I do, right? So.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? We still have a few moments that we can. So thank you very much for your presence, and those of you who show your faces. It's so good to see you. Thank you very much. We appreciate that, and thank you for your waving to us, for your smiles, and that is really such a huge thing, connection. And these webinars, I started because I was so overwhelmed with questions and so on, and it was spontaneous and not really well prepared, and that you forgive us. It seems like our mess ups, and they keep dialing in and connecting. So thank you very much. And so you're invited for our future webinars. Thank you, Alexandra, Michael, and AJ. Thank you very much, all your participants. We do it for you. Actually, these webinars help me structure my life too. so you are as great help for me as I am for you, possibly. So thank you very much, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the next webinar is going to be continuation of this one. It's also going to be
more about relationships. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We're going to finish the meeting.
Right.